Hello, MCU fans. Today is going to be my breakdown of the second Deadpool and Wolverine trailer. Oh my goodness, that was bonkers. So I'm going to be trying to combine elements from the first trailer, information we got from CinemaCon, and of course, an in-depth coverage of trailer number 2. Should be a lot of fun, but I'm going to weave the story in chronological order instead of jumping all around. So without further ado, let's dive right in and see what we can find out. Don't forget, we have an April contest running all month long. Be a subscriber, leave a comment. You could win a book or a steelbook. Best of luck. And of course, we have the membership option in case you want to help me with my goal of doing this full time one day. You get cool perks like advanced releases of the videos, but no matter how you support the channel, it's all greatly appreciated. Leaving comments, liking videos, and subscribing, those things go a long way too. So thank you so much. All right, so back in the first trailer, we learned that Wade has given up being Deadpool, and in fact is now a used car salesman. So yeah, that's definitely a downgrade from superhero. But in the second trailer, we do see that he's very interested in joining the MCU. And I say that because he jokes about the things Feige won't allow. When Blind Al suggests doing some, we'll just say hard drugs, he says, no. That's the one thing Feige said is off limits. They know all the slang terms. They have a list. So I think this is important because I'm betting they're talking about the fact that he really wants to join the MCU. And I think that's part of the way the TVA is able to control him throughout a good part of the movie. Okay, so we also learned in the first trailer that Wade and Vanessa have broken up, and in CinemaCon they confirmed that, so really a bummer for them. We learned that Wade is celebrating his birthday, and he's blowing out his candle. I presume after making a wish, he blows out his candle, and we immediately get a knock at the door. And sure enough, it's the TVA, right? And they say, hey, Wade's like, who's asking? Who's looking for me? And they're a little impatient, pull out their boomsticks, and Wade once again teases about the MCU and Disney, and he says, is that supposed to be scary? The R rating isn't new for me, friendo, but it is for Disney. Of course, that's the PG-13 version. There is a trailer now on Disney Plus, and that's the one they use. I know they said something else on the one on the TV. But the point is, this is the second time that he's brought up Feige, and he probably does a ton more, and Disney. So he really wants to join the MCU. So now he's taken to the TVA, and Paradox, in fact, shows him this is your chance to be a hero among heroes, shows him his glorious MCU. Now, I am not convinced he's necessarily telling him, I'm going to send you to the MCU, although he might be, but he's definitely trying to entice Wade to rise to the challenge, become Deadpool again, and help save the universe. Now, we do know that Deadpool has wanted to join the MCU for a while, right? There was this funny video with Korg where he says, any tips on getting there into the MCU, Korg? So I think maybe they're telling him they'll send him to the MCU when it's all done. The question is whether they have the ability to actually do that. But I do think they want him because he knows how to fix timelines. Remember in Deadpool 2, he fixed multiple timelines. I love when he kills the crappy Deadpool and tells Wolverine, just cleaning up the timelines. And he's able to sense weirdness in the timelines, like the fact that we have both McAvoy and Stewart. These timelines are so confusing. So all of this comes into play as to why the TVA wants him on this mission. So they finally convince him, hey, we'll get you a new set of armor. They armor him up. It's mentioned at CinemaCon that these are adamantium katanas, and that's going to come into play in the trailer big time. And then he goes around looking for Wolverine because he loves Wolverine, as we know. Now, the question is, did the TVA send him on this task, or did he say, I'm not going to do this unless I get to take a friend with me? Wolverine. But regardless, this in the first trailer we saw where he's searching out one of the Wolverines, and it ends up probably not being even played by Hugh Jackman, let alone Wolverine, but it's Patch. So I think he goes through several variants trying to find the best Wolverine. And interestingly, we learn in the second trailer, this is the one he finds. A washed up Wolverine where even the bartender's saying, you're not welcome here, you're not welcome anywhere. Now, I do think it's interesting. This, I think, is an homage to several things. The first X-Men movie, X-Men First Class, when they come in and try to recruit him, but also it looks an awful lot like that Insomniac video game, Wolverine video game they've talked about. In fact, Hugh Jackman on Twitter even said, yeah, this is an homage to that. So that's pretty cool. I like that. And he says, just give me one more drink, and then I'll leave. And then up approaches Deadpool, who, this is really funny, calls him Hi Peanut. Of course, Peanut is what Scott Lang calls Cassie, and we're going to see soon a very dead giant man in the void. So kind of funny. But he says, I'm going to need you to come with me right now. Keep that in mind right now. And then when he doesn't get up, he says, all right, well, I'm sort of on the tick-tock, so upsy daisy, here we go. I think the key there is he's in a hurry. I mean, the TVA has told him, you got to go. You don't have time. You don't have much time to save the universe. So very interesting. Okay, now notice he's not in costume. However, once he gets up and goes through this funny little bit here where he can't get his claws to come out, which is quite common in Wolverine's over 40. And after Deadpool threatens him, smile, wait for the flash, and he says, I suggest you reconsider, and literally puts a gun to his head. After this little bit where it looks like things are going very poorly, I think this scene from the trailer is next. I think he sits down and tries to convince him to help. He says, want to talk about what's haunting you, or should we wait for the third act flashback? And then this is where Wolverine does the infamous, I'm not going to help you, which is an homage back to X-Men First Class. But notice he's got his costume on now. So I don't know how much time has transpired here or what happened, but his costume is very important into figuring out the chronology of this trailer. Because, notice, when he has the shoulder pads as well as the sleeves, he then later has no shoulder pads and no sleeves. I think during the fight with Wolverine, he loses them, and we'll get to that in a minute. But you can therefore, and I don't think he ever puts them back on, and that's really important. Once they're gone, they're gone. So you can tell which scenes come first before others based on, does he have his sleeves and his shoulder pads? So kind of keep that in mind. I love that. All right, so then I think Wolverine probably tries to leave, and he has a really crappy car, which we're going to see in a second, because it's a lame car. But while they're in the car together, Deadpool says, I don't know anything about saving worlds, and holds up his friends, but you do. So he's trying to convince him to help save his world, and I think that triggers Wolverine, since, of course, Wolverine failed at saving his own world. So then they start getting into this big-time fight. Wolverine charges back at him, gets stabbed in the leg. Ow. Deadpool goes flying out the back of the vehicle, fixes his arm, and then that looks like fun, to be real honest. But so keep this car in mind. I think, and what it looks like, because we're going to see it a couple more times. Now, I think this is not yet in the void because the trees look very green, and in the void, it seems like everything is very dead. So I could be wrong. This could be the void, and they got pruned in that car. But I think Deadpool wins this fight and brings Wolverine back to the TVA. I'm betting that Paradox gets his nose punched because Wolverine does not like him. And they knock Wolverine out, which we'll see in just a second. But Paradox says this Wolverine let down his entire world. So that's key. Not your entire world, Deadpool, his entire world. So definitely we're talking about different timelines. No surprise. You expect that with the TVA, right? And there's Wolverine down on the ground. By the way, notice he's got the shoulder pads. So, he hasn't had them ripped off yet in that fight. Then I'm guessing that Deadpool still convinces the TVA to let him take this Wolverine, that I think he wants redemption, whatever. But I think they're going to stay together, obviously, because he's going to show up in the void. But here we see a little bit about this depressing situation in Wolverine's world. Are those graves? Maybe they're really huge to be graves, but they could be. Did he let down all the X-Men? Are these even more than just the X-Men? Is this all of humanity? I don't know. Very interesting. Let me know your thoughts if maybe this pulls from the comics somewhere potentially. But yeah, you can tell he is just distraught with the situation. So I think Deadpool convinces them, hey, give him a second chance. I think he can do it. Now, I still can't figure out where this part of the first trailer, and there's a little bit of this in the second trailer. When is this happening? I mean, it's not in the void yet, right? I mean, I do think, and I mentioned this in the first trailer breakdown, I think that is the vehicle from Logan, and it's the trees from Logan. I'm pretty sure, so this scene is from the Logan movie. But are they in the void? Are they not in the void? I mean, they said they're not going to touch Logan. We'll see if they keep that promise, right? But that's what they said. No, we're not going to mess with Logan. But then here's Deadpool literally fighting these TVA agents and mowing them down. I mean, just trashing them. In fact, this shot, ouch, that looked like that hurts. This is from the second trailer. So, I don't know. Surely they're not in the void yet, right? I mean, let me know your thoughts. Now that you've seen the second trailer, where do you think this scene from the first trailer and a little bit of the second trailer as well, where do you think this fits in? I don't know. Anyway, all I know is they do get pruned. That's for sure. Because now they're in the void. You can see the 20th Century Fox on the left, and there's Wolverine standing there staring down Deadpool. Over on the right, I think that's Canada's CN Tower. It looks like it. Maybe. I don't know. Hard to say. But there's been a lot of Canada jokes because even in the first trailer, you might remember this thing that I talked about. That arm, I'm fairly certain that is Canadarm. Really? Did they really call it Canadarm? So I wouldn't be surprised if there's another Canada joke that we saw there in that first scene when they show up in the void. But then Deadpool's trying again, saying, look, I'm about to lose everything I've ever cared about. And Wolverine says, not my problem. And then Deadpool, this probably shouldn't have said this, says, is that what you said when your world went to hell in a handbasket? Yeah, Wolverine didn't like that. Claws come out. Notice he's still got the shoulder pads and the sleeves. Claws come out, and he says, let's go. And we get, betting a fantastic fight. So, Deadpool gets thrown through this wall, hits the 20th Century Fox logo, does the cool reload that we saw in the first video, right? Or first trailer, rather. That looks so cool. And then in the second trailer now, we're seeing the fight really, really getting intense. We're just going to say that this one hurt. I'm not going to go any further with this, but those claws go where the sun don't shine. And then here we see a Wolverine getting shot in the side, a headbutting Deadpool, my word. And then here's where those adamantium katanas really came in handy. So, all right, I think in this fight, this is where he loses the shoulder pads. We'll see, but I think everything else happening after it, we're going to see he does not have shoulder pads. Starting with this, I'm going to guess that as nightfall comes, if there's even night in the void, I don't know, right? But what looks dark, that they finally have stopped fighting and decided to just talk. And Wolverine's saying, trust me, I'm not a hero, because, of course, of the failures he had. Now we'll learn more about whatever happened in his world. Then they decide to stay at an Airbnb, which may or may not be the bed from Thor Ragnarok. I'm convinced now that even if it is the bed, it's a bed that's been pruned. I don't think they go to the Thor Ragnarok movie. Tell me your thoughts on that. But I think they're just in the bed. But this is from the first trailer. But in the second trailer, I think this is the same location because we see Wolverine gargling some alcohol, and then you can see the bed over there in the corner. So anyway, and then Deadpool says, "Let's go." But I do think some of these lines have been overdubbed, so this may not even be that line with this scene. All right, so then I don't know if they're heading off to the fight or not. I just know they look really cool there. And notice Deadpool has golden guns, so he picked those up from somebody. That's interesting. And then above Wolverine's head, it says Layfield Just Feet. It's a Just Feet store. So they're ripping on poor Rob Liefeld again for his failure to draw good feet in the comics. Because you might remember in this second Deadpool movie, Deadpool's ripping on Domino about like, what is luck? Luck is not a power. What freak show comic book artist came up with that little chestnut? Probably a guy who can't draw feet. So Rob Liefeld obviously came up with Domino. And yeah, I admit those aren't great feet. But still, poor guy. Every other movie, they're ripping on his ability or inability to draw feet. All right, so then I'm guessing we must be getting the Deadpool core because that is absolutely Dogpool. And you might remember in the first trailer, we got what sure seems to be Lady Deadpool because Deadpool doesn't use machine guns. She does. So, yeah, that's very cool. I hope we get all of Deadpool core. We'll have to see. But at least we're getting two of them for sure. Then, this is from the first trailer where we got a far view of this Mad Max scene of all these vehicles. Well, now they show us some of these up front, a much closer view of them. This is clearly the car from Captain America the First Avenger, Red Skull's giant car. I mean, look at the front with the grill and everything. Definitely the same car. And then over on the left, it's kind of hard to see, but just below this image, you can see a little bit of the Golden Gate Bridge from X-Men Last Stand. We also saw that in the first trailer. So a lot of these scenes are all happening around the same location, it seems. And then this vehicle. What is this vehicle, right? Is that a Hydra tank? Are those the motorcycles from the first Avenger? I don't know. But I just know it looks cool. It looks really cool. And then there's the car. Remember I said, keep in mind what that car looked like. I am certain that's the same car, and we will see it again. So, I ask again, do you think this original scene was in the void where they were fighting in the car? I don't know. All I know is the car is definitely in the void. And I don't know if they're fighting that Mad Max caravan or trying to follow it. But either way, I love that car. All right, so then so many Easter eggs here. My word. Okay, so starting from the left, I'm pretty sure that's Sabretooth from the first X-Men movie, and I'm guessing that because I think that is his long hair sticking out from his clothing there, and plus he's super tall. This looks like Callisto from X-Men The Last Stand. This definitely looks like Toad from the first X-Men movie. I'm thinking this is Stone from Elektra. We have a Discord server, and I'll talk about that at the end of the video, but we've been brainstorming stuff, and Tanuki Billy came up with this and said, yeah, I'm betting that's Stone from Elektra. Okay, if so, then that's kind of confirmation that Elektra is going to show up in the movie if they're using her villains. So that is really cool. I love that. Tell me if you think that's Stone. This sure looks like Lady Deathstrike from X-Men United. It could potentially be an aged-up Daphne Keene, X-23 from Logan. It looks more like Lady Deathstrike, though, to me. This is definitely Azazel from X-Men First Class. You can see the tail there. I hated that dude, too. Oh, man, he was the worst. This might be the Russian from the Punisher movie, Thomas Jane's 2004 Punisher movie. Are we going to get a Thomas Jane appearance? Oh, my word. That would be insane. I mean, we got a villain from his movie, it seems. So let me know your thoughts if you think that's the Russian. And then lastly, this is Pyro from X-Men Last Stand, who, of course, we saw in the first trailer, so we knew he was going to be in it. And it looks like Pyro is sitting on that Captain America car. And then maybe, I'm not convinced yet, but maybe this is the back of the Fantastic car. I mean, not the front, clearly, but maybe the back. But, of course, the biggest Easter egg is Giant Man's dead body. My word, what on earth, right? I don't think it's Scott Lang from the main MCU, obviously. But yeah, that's crazy. And then look, the helmet opens up, and look at those teeth. That is so nasty. And you can see his nose missing, obviously, because he's dead. So, walking down the platform, Cassandra Nova finally enters. So this is from the first trailer where we were guessing it might be her from the comics, and her story in the her backstory in the comics is so crazy. I'm not even going to go into it because I don't think they're going to adapt it directly like the comics. But she is definitely Professor Xavier's sister, who he may or may not know even exists. And she has massive telepathic powers and telekinesis. So anyway, she comes down those steps. You can see the teeth right above her head. Ugh, that's so nasty. Here's another scene with her where she's saying the boys are so silly, sipping her little tea. And then Alioth attacks. Now, I think she's probably got Alioth under her control. But look real close. Do you see what's in front of Alioth? Yeah, that is the Giant Man body. Which, first of all, shows just how big Alioth is. I mean, looks like Alioth is like 5 times bigger, 7 times bigger, who knows, than Giant Man there. But isn't that crazy? That's Giant Man laying down. So now we see what he looks like in his position there. And of course, Alioth is from the Loki series, where there's He Who Remains saying, I harnessed the beast's power, began experimenting on it, and I weaponized it. So my guess is, now that obviously he's dead and not controlling Alioth, I think it's Cassandra Nova. And she uses Alioth as her guard dog. And that's why I think the TVA are so afraid of her. The TVA can't fight her, and that's, I think, their mission. Whether they told Deadpool or not, their mission is to kill Cassandra Nova. So anyway, speaking of the TVA, look at this TVA guy here just getting atomized by Alioth, and that's from the first trailer. And you can see some of the vehicles sitting around here too, so I know this is the scene with the Mad Max vehicles. And of course, remember the cupcake truck. I mentioned that in the first video, but you can see definitely that's what that truck is, so hilarious. So then now this is from the second trailer. We see Deadpool in a big fight. You can see Wolverine in the background there, and notice his biceps. He no sleeves. So we know this is after that first fight with Deadpool. And there they are fighting some more. Then here's from the first trailer. I think this is all the same fight scene. Pyro doing an explosion there. And then this is Giant Man's hands. What on earth? And I'm guessing they blow them up so they can get out. And speaking of getting out, there's the car again. How is this thing still standing? Look at it, man. It's just literally falling apart. So I don't know if they arrived in this car. Maybe this is the beginning of the fight scene, or maybe it's in the middle of the fight scene. I don't know, but I love that car hanging out this whole time. Then we see this fight does not go too well versus Cassandra Nova. She stops his claws, lifts them up, and sends them down into the ground. So it's going to be really hard fighting her. I'm glad they don't show us really any more of the fight with her other than she can kick butt, because I bet it's going to be massive. The fight is going to be massive. So either at the end of the fight or during the fight, Deadpool and Wolverine are jumping out of, I'm presuming, Giant Man's either nose hole or maybe his eye socket into a portal. Oh my word. So is this Doctor Strange doing this? Is this Wong? Is it Ned? I hope it's not Ned. I love you, Ned. I love you, Ned. But I really hope it's not you. What is going on here, right? And where are they going? Obviously, they have edited out the location they're going to. Now, boy, I really feel like they're teasing pretty strongly this is them entering the MCU, but part of me thinks they're not going to make it into the MCU by the end of the movie, and they're still going to be in the void. And I'll talk a little bit more about that when I talk about how I think the whole multiverse is laid out in just a moment. But let me know your thoughts. Who do you think is doing this? Where are they located? Is this Doctor Strange? Maybe he's not even in the void. Maybe he's somewhere else doing this. And where do you think they're going? Wow, craziness. But my guess is it's someone in the void with magic powers doing this and not sending them out to the MCU. But I know I'm a killjoy. That's not what you want to hear, but that's my guess. So, man, July cannot come soon enough. Hashtag LFG, right? And then, can you believe this? The film is not yet rated. Really? They dropped like 7 F-bombs. I'm thinking it's rated, but too funny. They always say that, right? But all right, so I mentioned the multiverse timeline. So real quick, I break this into 3 sections. The middle section is the Loki through line of pretty much the multiverse saga. Loki season 1, the loom falling apart. Loki season 2, turning into the tree. And then I think we end up with the void. And the void is where, we're seeing a lot of the Deadpool movie. On the top is all the different other universes in the multiverse intersecting with the MCU. And of course, on the bottom is the main MCU. So I just don't think Deadpool and Wolverine are going to get into the MCU yet. But hold that thought for a second. Here's the timeline overall for the X-Men. In case you're interested, I did a full video on this. You can check it out. Notice I've now moved Logan into the second timeline, which means technically that a Cable reset it. But I don't know if it's really reset or still out there or what. All I know is Deadpool seems to be able to go into these different timelines because obviously he went in and killed crappy Deadpool in X-Men Origins Wolverine. So somehow they're going to be able to go to the Logan timeline as well. But I just wanted you to see I do have an X-Men timeline if you want to check out that video. But one of the biggest reasons I don't think they're going to get into the MCU yet is we have a lot of street level stuff yet to tell. Everything in yellow has come out. Everything in red has not come out yet. And I think these are the times in the MCU that they're going to happen. So they're not when they're being released. I think within the MCU, this is when each of these are going to happen. There's a lot left to do. If Deadpool and Wolverine suddenly show up, does it cause an incursion? Does it affect all of these storylines? I don't know. So that's just why my gut feel is we're not going to see him enter the MCU yet, and they're going to tease that for later. But again, let me know your thoughts. So yeah, now we wait for Deadpool 3 to rock our collective world. And by the way, let me know which of these 2 posters you like better. I'm kind of torn. I guess I like them both. I don't know. I maybe like the one on the left a little better, but they're both awesome. So let me know your thoughts. Which do you like better? Okay. Leave your comments. Also, in fact, your comments could let you win either a book or a steelbook. So very important. Leave a comment. Also, they have the membership option in case you're interested in that. And then I did mention the Discord. I will leave a pinned comment so you can join. We do all kinds of stuff. We have watches. We have MMORPG. We have Star Wars retrospectives going on. We have a thumbnail contest because, my thumbnails ain't that great. Love your help on that. And then we have, we normally talk about Star Wars, DC, and Marvel, but we do have all of these other media forums. Join them. We'd love to have you chat with us. 1,300 members across the globe, 24/7 conversations. So again, I will leave a pinned comment so you can join if you'd like. Also, like this video, subscribe if you haven't already. You can check out more content, and we'll all continue to enjoy the ever-growing, ever-changing Marvel Cinematic Universe.